Hi again, M0YKS is back on the amplifier update. So I've got the GI7BT ceramic valve, and this is where the problem started, folks. So going back to a couple of weeks, we had a valve drop out, short circuit, and pop the glitch fuse and caused one or two other issues. So that's what happened. So got a couple of new valves on order which should be arriving. Also got the other probably new valves to try once we get the diode and the test meter on it. So what have I been doing this week, people? Well, I've been busy away, as you know. Started off with a connection point which fitted on the bottom of here. I was looking for the old one. Yeah, so we have the original clamp-on type of connectors. So this week I've made myself some replacements using a bit of copper, so we don't have the bulky screw type of thing hanging about causing a short circuit. So I've taken that off and I've replaced the grid connecting bar with a nice new thicker piece of copper, which is out of a piece of wire which I stripped. So that's going to slide onto the bottom, just a push fit this time. And then I've also introduced the same system for the bottom of this terminal point of the anode unit. So it's going to be an interference push fit rather than a soldered connection which we previously had. So let's take a look at the amplifier. So since you last saw the amplifier, I've built this unit. It's a stainless steel fan housing unit which I've tacked to the top of the cover. I've cut a slot out of the top of the cover, removed a big slot, and I've purchased a couple of new fans which were recommended by one of the followers, Easy. They're high powered and silent running. As you can see, the interior side of the fans, how it sinks in nicely, all nice and flush, so that should do the damage. Once I get the wire up, the airflow is going to be pretty good, and it's going to be running to the top of the GI7BT ceramic valve, because all the studying I've been doing, I've since found that the heat source is generated in the upward direction. So previously I had the flimsy little bracket connected to the side of the plastic housing. I've now replaced all that and I've made the aluminium valve housing unit, which has got a much better method of cooling, dissipating the heat, and also a far superior connection to the grid. You can see the mountings made for the two valves, and it fits nice and snug inside the unit, so that's a pretty good job. I'm pleased with that. That's now been bolted in fully and it's in place, ready to roll. So what else have I done this week? Well, I've cut a piece of brass sheeting, and previously on the side of this we just had the plastic insulation, so now I've got a fully shielded side wall made from brass, where I had to just nick out one or two shapes and wrap it around the components, such as the anode choke. So that's all fitted in perfectly now, and that's going to prevent any unwanted RF getting into the front end of the tuning circuit. So that's going to prevent that, and also obviously help protect the valves. So that's one job. As you can see, the clearance at the bottom now, and you can also see a bit of ventilation at the bottom. This is where the new connection points have been made at using copper. So it was quite tricky to make sure that I made that so there were no short circuit in place. So I'll show you the underside in a second. Before I do that, I'll just show you this piece of brass side plate. So I've got two of these. These are just going to fix onto the side of the valve housing unit, and that's going to prevent unwanted radiation coming out of that. So it's also going to enclose the cooling side of it and keep the unit fully blown. So I may have to put a couple of little ventilation escape pots in the bottom of it. I've got two of those, and then another little job I'm going to have to just do, which I'm going to finish off in a few minutes, is just connection points from this piece of brass sheet to the grid, just grounding it out. So we've just got to solder those on. I've got one at each end, so that's a little job I'm on with at the minute. And like I say, I'm going to be looking at this as well. This is a APC connected to the anode choke, which basically cuts off the unwanted RF around about 30 megahertz. And these are simple. You've got 3 resistors, which are 150 ohms, running parallel, and then they're internal, and then you have a couple of wounds of a bit of brass on a 12mm former. So I'm going to make some new ones of those, because they're not quite right. So I've continued with the brass work, and previously there was an exposed coaxial cable running through the unit near the valves, which could have obviously been getting a little bit of unwanted RF in it. So it's now been fully covered and enclosed with a piece of brass sheeting which I wrapped around it. So I'll be grounding that out to the grid as well. So as you can see, the unit's going to be pretty good from a gridded, grounded out and fully enclosed with plenty of shielding going on once it's all built up back in place, which is not too far away as we nearly complete it. So on the underside, I've got the original fan mounting area, which I've found quite useful to allow ventilation access to the underside of the GI7BT ceramic valve. So what I've done is I've cut off the original venting grill on the top where I've now mounted the fans, which basically looks like that. And I've decided to just reuse it, and that's going to be my obviously cover to keep unwanted things from going astray in there. So we've got plenty of clearance, and if you look inside it, you should be able to just see the new mounting point. So previously it was a soldered connection on the bottom, which didn't work at all. Obviously you're warming up the valve when you're soldering it, putting unwanted stress on it, possibly damaging it. And now I've got these push-on copper quick connectors, which just are interference fit, and they seem to have a very good nice snug little fit, so they're holding on well. And I've changed the grid bar, which I've now replaced and resoldered. So we've got two of these in position, and I'm quite happy with how that's panned out. So you can just see how it goes in there. So we've got plenty of clearance with the design of the new valve housing unit. So you can just make it out from that view down there, the situation. So that's working out pretty well. So we'll have a bit of natural ventilation going on. The heat won't be quite as great at this particular point, but there still will be some heat generated. So it's important to get that air circulation. So as you can see, there's plenty of clearance. All worked out pretty well of that job I did earlier on in the week. So I've just got to finish soldering these stray wires here and there, and we're getting closer to the finishing point. So I'll be checking out the rest of the stuff for the faults now. I've got my friend Pete coming around, who's been a fantastic help, telling me what to do and giving me the advice. He's going to be bringing some high voltage testing equipment, and we'll probably check out things like these diodes on here. This is probably the suspicious thing to look at next. So that's a diode to have a look at. I've actually got a few on order, so they should be coming pretty shortly. So I've just got to solder on this decoupling capacitor. We'll probably have a look at that, make sure that's okay as well, and hopefully we'll be good to go. Once everything's been checked out by Pete and it's all safe, we'll light the touch paper as he puts it, and we'll see what happens. So then we can have a quick look at this. These meters will slide out, so it might be possible that I can bend the meter back and recalibrate it, shunting it and sticking the required resistor on the back to match it up properly. So yeah, that's just where we're at the moment. So hopefully you've enjoyed the quick update. As you can see, I've been keeping myself busy, doing bits and pieces on an evening, a couple of hours here and there. It's surprising how long it takes to get these jobs done, with filing and drilling and fitting and measuring and marking and general engineering tasks, obviously with a bit of electronics as well. So got the old soldering iron at the hand, and we're going to be doing a bit of reconnecting now. So it's getting to the fun part of the game where things are getting built back up, and we're just going to be finalising it and then running the final tests, replacing the odd diode possibly, and with a bit of luck we'll be back to it. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back with the next update probably next week when I've done a little bit more. Have a good weekend, and this is M0YKS with the GI7BT ceramic amplifier, which comprises of a valve out of a Russian tank, believe it or not. Catch you later.